Bonjour from the Air France Business Class Lounge at Paris Charles de Gaulle International Airport. Today we'll be flying to New York's JFK on Delta One suites in their Boeing 767-400. I'm really excited for this flight because this is going to be my first time flying an American carrier long haul in business class. I have flown with United Polaris, but that was just on a 5-hour transcon flight from Newark to San Francisco and back, so that doesn't really count as the full United Polaris experience. And I don't think it would be fair to compare Delta One suites to United Polaris just yet. And instead, I'll see how Delta One stacks up to my recent flight with Air France. Delta One business class passengers flying out of Paris Charles de Gaulle International Airport are invited to use the Air France business class lounge, as both airlines are members of the SkyTeam alliance and they do have a joint venture with one another. So as you can see, there's this really nice shop within the lounge where you can buy souvenirs to commemorate your visit to Alphonse's fantastic flagship business class lounge, located here in the M concourse of Paris CDG in Terminal 2E. Really good food options, except for the fact that there is no a la carte dining area. You have to find that in Air France's La Première First Class Lounge, but the business class lounge, especially the one here in CDG, never disappoints. There's plenty of comfortable seating throughout with really amazing ambiance. I personally love those lamps that Air France opted for. You'll find a magazine rack. The bathrooms are pretty clean. You'll even find a nice PlayStation area, and of course we have the Claire and Spa treatments, as this is an Air France business class lounge. I made a separate video about this lounge, which I will cover in more detail. After spending a pretty good amount of time in the Air France business class lounge, I decided to head off to my gate. The terminal itself is actually pretty large and nice. Terminal 2E is split into 3 concourses, K, L, and M, and today's flight will be departing out of the M concourse. The terminal itself is actually kind of nice. You will find large windows which do offer incredible views of the action going on at the ramp here in CDG. You'll notice an incredible view of CDG's gates in the M concourse, and I was able to spot this Air France A350 headed off to Atlanta, Georgia, as you can see. After my inbound flight from Nice, I only had just under 2 hours in the airport today, and I did end up spending most of that time at Air France's Salon Business Class Lounge. So when I arrived at the gate, it was the boarding time for Comfort Plus. However, Delta One passengers are able to experience Sky Priority boarding in Group 1. Our flight to New York today will be operated by one of Delta's Boeing 767-400ER aircraft, and this aircraft arrived as Flight DL-264 earlier this afternoon around 12 p.m., and it'll be heading back out to New York with us on board around 2:30. With that said, let's hop on board and check out the Delta One suites on the Boeing 767-400. On the Boeing 767-400, the Delta One cabin is arranged in a spacious 1-2-1 configuration. Now, please keep in mind that on other aircraft with Delta One suites, you will find the sliding door, and on other aircraft, you will find a reverse herringbone configuration. I really did like this configuration, though, with Delta One. My seat for today's flight was 3D, which looks very gorgeous upon boarding. In terms of amenities, in Delta One, you are provided with a Someone Somewhere amenity kit, which is well stocked. We'll have a look at this once we're in the air. I found that the kit itself had a nice pattern to it, the comfortable Delta Westin Heavenly bedding, which is really easy to store thanks to the bag it's in, a pair of slippers, actually, which is definitely a really nice souvenir to have for my first ever Delta One flight. These were definitely very comfortable to wear throughout. As it is quite the norm now, let's go for a comprehensive seat tour, starting off with the IFE display located at the front. This is a touchscreen IFE, however, you can also use the IFE remote located at the side of the seat. Beneath that is the leg rest under which you can store shoes or bags. We have a fixed armrest to the side of the seat. Over here, you'll find the shoulder belt for takeoff and landing. Delta One logo, really nice headrest, which is not adjustable. Seat itself is quite comfortable, definitely is a pretty cool design to it. I definitely love the leather design. IFE remote pops out from the side of the seat, as well as a mirror. You will find some storage. These seats with the consoles closer to the window offer more storage than the seats with consoles closer to the aisle. The storage area was kind of dirty when I was there. It had an extra napkin. Not sure who left it there, but anyways, charging ports, USB headphone jack, storage for water. The Delta Studio branded headphones are of excellent quality, and you'll also find this light to control the suite, in-flight literature, and then we do the drinks table and seat controls. It's pretty cool to find this on a 20-year-old aircraft, but above each seat is an individual air vent. Shortly before departure, pre-departure beverages were offered throughout the cabin, and I opted for a cup of orange juice, so cheers.
Color awakens our senses. It stirs our curiosity. The best way to find it is to get out there. Because at Delta, we believe expanding your horizons will expand your world.
Welcome aboard, and thank you for flying with Delta. The health and safety of our customers and crew is our #1 priority.
If you lose an electronic device in your seat, please do not adjust your seat and ask a crew member for assistance.
As we leave the gate, make sure your seatbelt is fastened. To fasten, insert the metal tip into the buckle and adjust the strap so it's low and tight across your lap. To release the belt, just lift the top of the buckle. If your seat has a shoulder harness, secure it by attaching the metal tip to the fitting on the belt. To release, just push the metal tip down. Please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened anytime the seatbelt sign is on. Even if the sign is off, please keep your seatbelt fastened whenever you're seated in case of sudden rough air.
Now, before we take off, bring your seat to its upright position and stow your tray table. Be sure your seatbelt is fastened low and tight across your lap. Your carry-on items are secured in aisle armrest or in resting position.
Finally, please take a moment to review the safety information card, which is in your seat pocket. As we come through the cabin for our final safety check, please let us know if you have any questions.
Now, as we get ready for takeoff, please settle in and have a wonderful flight. Thank you for flying with Delta.
Just a few moments, we will be dimming the cabin lighting. If you need a reading light, there is one available above your seat.
Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, where number 4 and modification takeoff should be airborne shortly. I'd like to ask flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for departure.
The in-flight entertainment system on Delta can be controlled by using the touch screen, or you can use the IFE remote located at the side of the seat. You can easily select your language by using the touch screen, and then you will be directed to the home screen. As you can see, the home screen shows that there's a really good selection of movies, TV shows, as well as audio options. You can easily click the button to browse the entertainment, and there's just an endless selection of movies that you can spend your entire flight just deciding on what to watch. As far as movies go, you will find all sorts of genres in many different languages, such as Arabic, Chinese, Hindi, so pretty impressive selection of movies altogether. You can also view movies under 2 hours and new releases. You can also view flight information under the Flight Information tab. As you can see, the flight map itself is pretty responsive, and in addition to viewing the flight map, you can also view fun facts about your aircraft, as well as other aircraft in the Delta Airlines fleet. With Delta, it is possible to connect to the Wi-Fi with 3 steps. Pretty basic process, as you can see, and feel free to pause the video for a closer look. What I really like about the Wi-Fi available on Delta is the fact that it's definitely not as expensive as the Wi-Fi packages available on American. With Delta, it's definitely much easier to connect to the Wi-Fi for sure. I did enjoy the Delta One slippers that were provided in business class. They were comfortable to wear, and it is pretty nice to have a souvenir like this. In addition to the slippers, we do have the Delta Someone Somewhere amenity kit that was provided. As you can see, you'll find a pair of earplugs, an eye mask, which I did find to have a pretty nice pattern to it, toothbrush, toothpaste, Grown Alchemist skincare products such as hand cream and lip balm. We also have a nice little Delta pen, and that's about it, providing the amenity kit. This is definitely well stocked for a flight of this length. However, if this were a 14 to 15 hour flight, this wouldn't be well stocked as much, and I do prefer the amenity kit provided on Air France with their Clarence Spa products. In terms of in-flight literature provided for today's flight, we have an air sickness bag, as you can see, which says feel better on it. It's also for baby care, as you can see. And then we'll also find the safety card, which is essential to pretty much any in-flight literature pocket. The menu that was provided upon boarding. And here's a safety card, as you can see. Pretty basic, standard Delta Airlines safety card for the Boeing 767-400. Inside, just all of the standard safety features, and feel free to pause the video for a closer look. And other than the safety card as well as the air sickness bag, that's really about it in terms of in-flight literature. We don't really have much. Delta and American both don't offer in-flight magazines, unlike United. Once airborne, service commenced and flight attendants handed out hot towels. This was definitely a really nice touch, as hot towels are one of my favorite amenities in business class. Let's have a look at the menu provided in Delta One business class. I personally love the really nice pattern that you will find on the cover. It also has the Delta One logo, as you can see. Feel free to pause the video for a closer look, as the menu is written in both French and English for this flight. There is a pretty good selection of entrees to choose from. However, in terms of appetizers, you have a salad and a corn soup, as you can see, and everything is served on one tray except for the dessert. There is one vegetarian entree, the other 2 consist of meat. And as you can see, the entree is also written in French, and you also have the salad and the soup written in French. For dessert on this flight, there were 3 options between a cheese plate with fruit, an ice cream sundae, and a Paris breast cake. Mid-flight snacks were also offered on this flight, as there was a mid-flight snack bar, and then the pre-arrival meal consists of some sort of salad. As you can see, the beverage selection of non-alcoholic beverages consists of juice, soda, coffee, tea. Delta does offer Starbucks coffee on its flights, and there is also a selection of wine and beer. Now please keep in mind that the wine and beer, it's not the same wine and beer with Delta that you'd get on every flight, and as you can see, the beverage selection is also written in French. Feel free to pause the video for a closer look. Shortly after the hot towels were collected, service did commence off of a trolley, and I was offered some warm mixed nuts, as well as a beverage of choice. I opted for a ginger ale over a splash of cranberry juice, and this may sound like a weird combo, but it was pretty refreshing. For my entree, I opted for the vegetable and cheese lasagna, which was really good actually. Easily one of the best pasta dishes I've had on a plane. It was very flavorful, along with this corn soup with some croutons, as well as a nice fennel salad. We also have a French baguette, as well as the amazing butter. In addition, you're also provided with some salt and pepper, as well as oil to go along with the salad. It's like an olive oil vinaigrette. All in all, this was a really good meal, except for the fact that it was presented on a tray. I've definitely had better airplane food than this, like the food I had on Air France, but this was quite impressive. The salt and pepper shaker provided with the meal was unique. It was combined into one, and on one side it was the nice fan plate, and on the other side was the Delta logo. You can easily twist it for salt or pepper. I wrapped up the meal with Delta's signature ice cream sundae, as well as the fruit and cheese plate. Everything here was really good, especially the ice cream sundae. I like the fact how the Delta logo was carved onto the very end of the spoon. It was a nice touch. Cheers guys to a delicious ice cream sundae. I washed that lunch down with a cup of green tea, and of course I opted for some sugar to go along with the tea. This was definitely nice and refreshing before grabbing some shut-eye. The business class seat itself is fully lie flat, and it's pretty comfortable. In addition to having lie flat bed mode, you do have a couple of other seat modes with the Delta One suite on the 767-400, which are pretty comfortable. There's a position where you can lounge in and maybe relax. It's not really appealing to the human eye. It looks similar as the standard upright position, but still the seat itself is quite comfortable in bed mode, and Delta does provide Westin Heavenly bedding, which is quite comfortable actually. It consists of a singular pillow and a singular blanket. I really do have to say that I'm a huge fan of the bedding that Delta offers. Of course, the bedding on Air France, the bed on Air France is a bit more comfortable only because the seat itself is a bit more spacious, but with the overall bedding, like the pillow and the blanket, with Delta, it's definitely more comfortable than Air France, even though there's no mattress pad. The best part of this flight probably had to be the mid-flight snack bar. There were two of them on this aircraft, one located at the very front galley, and one located between Premium Select and the Delta One Suites cabin. I prefer the other mini snack bar only because it feels a bit nicer, because it has the Delta logo, as well as the nice blue lighting. But over here you could grab cheese, fruit, chips, Paris breast cakes, water, all the stuff you could expect mid-flight on pretty much any Delta flight. You might find some dessert as well, so it's a pretty cool setup to have on an aircraft. American and United also do this with their wide bodies on international flights. The second mid-flight snack bar is located at the back galley, and this is one that I do prefer, even though the other mid-flight snack bar offers more food options. This one's just snacks. As you can see, almost everything is taken. We do have a couple of bottles of water though, but it is a pretty nice setup to have, and I really do like the mid-flight snack bar. Nice to come here, maybe just grab a snack and stretch your legs. Now, I wish that a lot more airlines did this, besides Delta. With Air France, they do have the wine bars on their 777, which I do like. That's definitely pretty nice, and I do prefer the Air France wine bar compared to the mid-flight snack bar because they have these really good cheese crackers, and it definitely feels like a much nicer area, but still having a mid-flight snack bar is definitely cool as well. I did end up grabbing a thing or two from the mid-flight snack bar. However, a mid-flight snack service was available on this flight. Flight attendants went through the cabin and offered passengers a warm lemon madeleine, and this was definitely really nice. I personally love madeleines, and they're a good French pastry to enjoy. On the Boeing 767-400, the Delta One lavatory is located at the back of the business class cabin, and there's also one located at the front of the cabin. However, this one is located at the back. Starting off, we have a pretty generous sink. The lavatory itself is nice and large, especially for a business class lavatory, and the sink itself truly speaks for that. We also have the Grown Alchemist amenities. I personally love Grown Alchemist. It's a great company and all. You'll find some hand cream as well as the hand soap for washing hands and stuff. Pretty good size, as you can see in terms of the lavatory. We have the toilet. You can actually use the foot pedal to open up the trash bin, which is pretty cool. Baby changing table, and we also do have a flush, as you can see. The countertop in the lavatory is actually pretty large, and it's an amazing lavatory altogether. After using the bathroom, I decided to stretch my legs with a walk through the Boeing 767-400 cabin. Economy class on this aircraft is arranged in a 232 configuration, which is more spacious than the 343 configuration found on the Boeing 777-200. As you can see, Premium Select is arranged in a 222 configuration. Looks pretty spacious, but there's nothing better than Delta One on this aircraft, obviously, with really spacious lie-flat seats. When I returned back to my seat from the lavatory, we only had about an hour and a half left in flight, so the pre-arrival service began off of a trolley. For my pre-arrival meal, I opted for the braised artichoke and fresh salad, as you can see, which was pretty good. It had some sort of goat cheese in there. We also have some fruit as well as a bread roll on the side, and as you can see, this was a really good, light, and refreshing snack. The bread itself was a little dry, but everything else tasted pretty good. I actually wasn't expecting this to happen, but it was a nice touch that flight attendants handed out chocolates prior to arrival in New York. Starting off with the Alphonse Salon Business Class Lounge at Paris Charles de Gaulle International Airport Terminal 2E Hall M, let's discuss the concluding thoughts of Delta One Suite on the Boeing 767-400 DL-265 from Paris CDG to New York's JFK. The Air France lounge in Paris Charles de Gaulle is truly great. Definitely the best business class lounge I've so far been to in all of Europe. There's plenty of comfortable seating in a relatively modern style with amazing ambiance. The bathrooms are quite clean and fresh, and I personally love the Clarence Spa products. There is a Clarence Spa treatment facility in this lounge, of course, that it is one of Air France's flagship lounge locations for its business class lounges, that being Paris Charles de Gaulle. The Clarence Spa treatment facility in CDG, it's a large size, actually, and in addition, you will find a buffet area, which is well stocked. The buffet here in CDG, it actually has really good food and beverage options. Maybe if they had a full-size bar or an a la carte dining area, that could elevate the lounge a bit, but otherwise, solid 4.5 stars in the bag. Anyways, for the seat on this aircraft, it's a solid 3.5 out of a possible 5 stars. I prefer Air France's business class seat because it's a bit wider, a bit more plush, and also, it's a bit, the footwell's a bit wider, when sleeping in lie-flat bed mode. With Delta, I felt that the space on the 767-400 is a little bit restricted. Though the bed itself is still comfortable, the charging ports and the seat controls are conveniently located. There's a great amount of storage, and maybe if each business class seat was created equal, some business class seats in the cubicle configuration offered less privacy than others. My seat, which was an odd-numbered window seat located on the right side of the aircraft, offered less privacy compared to the even-numbered window seats located on the right side of the aircraft as well. My seat, which was 3D, it was relatively comfortable. The seats themselves in the cabin look quite modern and plush, actually, but they look a bit more comfortable than what they actually are. And the seat itself was very comfortable to sit in, very plush, very pretty. I love the reds and the blues that Delta opted for. Even though this is a 20-something-year-old aircraft, the aircraft still feels like it's less than 5 years old on the interior. Probably because of the seats in the Delta One cabin. I personally love the mood lighting that they opted for with this aircraft. So the 767-400 and all, it's a unique aircraft. But back to the seat for a second. I'd like to say that when in lie flat bed mode, the seat could be a bit more comfortable. But I really like the fact of how private these seats are. The seat walls are high, and they give each seat, even the less private seats like mine, a good sense of privacy. However, if the console were closer to the aisle, I would have a bit more privacy in addition to the fixed partition, and it is definitely well appreciated. I like the privacy that these airlines are all going for in business class these days with the singular cabins and everything. It's all great. Obviously, the food in Delta One is not Michelin star like Air France, but still, this is really good food, actually. I like the fact that there's a mid-flight snack bar. The pre-arrival meal, which was the salad, was nice, refreshing, very fresh, filled with greens and all. Except for the bread roll that I had, with the pre-arrival snack. It was a little dry. I definitely preferred the baguette that I had with the lunch. It was really good. The lasagna and all was fresh. Definitely chef-inspired food. Really good. I'd have to say it earns a solid 3.7 out of a possible 5 stars. The lasagna itself was really good, really cheesy. Definitely, they were able to get it with the right amount of cheese. Not too little, but also not a whole lot of cheese, so that's definitely great. I think that it's important to have the right amount of flavoring and spice and all, and Delta absolutely nailed it. I've noticed that Delta has much better food in their premium cabins compared to United and American, as I have already flown American in their flagship business class at the time of this video being posted. Now let's talk about the in-flight entertainment, which is truly great. I'd say it earns 4.5 out of a possible 5 stars. A really great selection. You can spend your entire flight deciding on what to watch. There's a really good selection of 500-something movies. The audio selection is also great. You can view all sorts of categories of movies and TV shows in languages, as well as all sorts of genres of movies, from action to comedy to documentaries. Just a wonderful selection. And Delta, they have Spotify music on board, of course, which is definitely a really nice touch. I personally love the audio selection that Delta has to offer. Delta's IFE selection is definitely better than American. However, it's kind of similar to what you get with United. Though United is a better IFE selection than Delta, because with United they have Channel 9, which is a live television app where you can hear the communications between pilots and the ATC, which makes it a bit more special, obviously. But besides that, I really think that Delta has done a great job with the IFE, and now the amenities provided. The bedding is from Westin Heavenly, which is really comfortable. Of course, it's not as impressive as United Saks Fifth Avenue bedding, but it is better than the Casper bedding you get on American, and it's better than the bedding you get on Air France. And I'm not even sure where that's supplied from. But anyways, the bedding on Delta is really comfortable. It's really easy to store thanks to the bag it's in, and I really like how the bag is customized. Definitely a pretty cool touch there as well. The Someone Somewhere amenity kit has a nice pattern to it on the exterior. The interior is well stocked. I love the Grown Alchemist amenities. The lavatory on board was clean, which was definitely a really nice touch. However, I did notice a small piece of trash in my seat. So the aircraft itself is relatively clean, except for that one small piece of trash. And I noticed a couple of scratches throughout the seat. However, it's not really a huge deal. The most important thing is that the seat is comfortable. But in terms of cleanliness, the seat itself probably earns 4.8 or 4.7 out of a possible 5 stars, except for the couple of scratches and the one piece of trash that I found. And the service was really great. Our purser, Vikki, for today's flight, she was incredible, did a fabulous job, constantly looking after passengers, making sure that they were okay. She actually personally thanked me for flying with Delta and gave me this little note, thanking me for choosing Delta. We had another flight attendant, Jeff. He was great as well, very funny, very humorous. The crew on this flight were definitely very friendly and engaging. This does have to be the best Delta crew I've had. They were constantly asking me about my YouTube channel, and they seemed very interested and very happy. I'd have to say that this was the best flight they've so far had with Delta, and I'd certainly fly with Delta again. The crew on Delta were friendly, just like the crew I've had on Air France, and I'm really grateful for this kind of crew. I mean, I personally think that there needs to be more airline crew like this out there, because the crew I had with both Delta and Air France were truly incredible. They didn't really give me any problems, and they were able to put up with my filming. So that's it. That's the concluding thoughts. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. With that said, I hope you guys enjoy the following descent and landing footage as we arrive in JFK.
Welcome to John F.
Le vol, et assurez-vous de n'avoir rien oublié avant de descendre de l'avion. Vous pouvez utiliser l'application Flight Delta pour l'information concernant vos bagages et vos correspondances. Notre but est de continuellement améliorer votre expérience de voyage, pour cela que vous pourriez recevoir un email vous demandant vos commentaires. Au nom de votre équipage Delta basé à New York, merci encore d'avoir choisi de voyager avec nous aujourd'hui, en espérant vous revoir très bientôt.
That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was my first flight with Delta on the 767-400. Also my first long-haul international flight with DL. I hope to fly with Delta again. This was truly a great first flight. Maybe I'd like to experience Delta 1 out of a Delta hub like New York, Atlanta, something. But hopefully that'll happen in the future. This was truly an enjoyable flight. The crew were fantastic, and the 767-400, well, of course, it's a rare aircraft, and I really enjoyed this flight. Hopefully, do something similar like this again. Upon arrival in New York, of course, you are required to go through customs and immigration, but that only adds on another 35 to 50 minutes in addition to deploying the aircraft, so it's not really a big deal, kind of expected for all international flights. And this was my first international flight with Delta, technically my first long-haul international flight with a U.S. airline, so it's pretty cool to have been able to done this. I'm happy that I was able to share this experience with you guys. With that said, peace out, and I hope you enjoyed the video.